And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blank. And Tyler, it's Sunday. We had a meeting today. I had grad school this week. I don't want to sit in this chair anymore. How you doing?
So much is going on. Shout out to our 19 media colleagues. We had a very productive meeting.
Yes,
it's so cool to remember that we're on a network with people from across the country. Like, obviously, we're all about our Arizona, but it's cool to hear from talented colleagues from across. Man, I'm so proud of you. I know you've been grinding. We are heading into the always fantastic Thanksgiving week. Somehow we're here again at the end of another glorious, exhausting semester. I'm good, man. I'm doing really well. My spirits are up today. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing pretty good. My consciousness is down, but my spirits are up. I had to do a double take. We got the message in the 19 chat saying, "Hey guys, meeting at 3." And I was like, wait a second, it's at 1. What is this? This is incorrect. I had to check my calendar, and I'm like, oh, not everybody lives on the East Coast. So I'm glad I looked, because I was like, oh, I'll just do it after the show. Cool, we'll record and then we'll have the meeting. And that's not what was going to happen. So I'm glad I looked.
Remember, we're the real I was gonna say the real wieners. That's we exactly what I was trying to say.
A couple of cocks cutting it up.
We're the real winners here, Brad, because we get our content earlier. I cannot imagine watching. We'll talk about Full Gear shortly. We'll talk about the WWE and the Bloodline. We'll talk gratitude. But especially for Full Gear this past weekend, I couldn't imagine starting the show watching that at 8 o'clock. There's I was hanging on by a thread.
Me too.
When it started at 6 AZ time. So we love our East Coast colleagues. We love our East Coast and Midwest fans, number one. But I love the West Coast for the weather and the early start times for these programs. Yes. I'm just not built to stay up till midnight watching the sport we love. I can't do it.
Yeah, and when everybody's like, "Oh man, I don't want to stay up for this East Coast or this West Coast game," when they're on the East Coast, like, man, you get everything first. Stop crying. Like, I don't care. Move out here if you want to. If you're going to complain about it, move.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you'll tell us. So while you're shoveling out your driveway to back out, while you white knuckle it down the freeway, hoping that you can get to the store without crashing in your icy, slippery death, I'll be outside, soaking up the sunshine, enjoying the afternoon, unpolluted. It's a wonderful life out here. Tyler, so many things have happened this week, but the biggest thing in our wrestling lives, well, one of them anyway, was Full Gear. Full Gear was yesterday. I bought the bundle package on Triller, so I could get the next one, Wrestle Dream, I think, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Mania. I don't know what they're calling it.
World's End.
Sure. whatever TK cooked up for the monthly $50. I bought that early, and
I didn't realize they're still running the Triller 2-pack discount.
Oh yeah. That's why I didn't do YouTube. I was going to do YouTube, and I was like,
YouTube.
It's $84 for 2 of them instead of having to shell out 50 twice.
Yeah.
I saved a little money on that by spending a little more. But I'm all set for the next one, and I have some thoughts about this one, and I know you do too. We should probably just get into it. We're going to run down the card. There were a lot of matches on this card, Tyler. A lot of matches on this card. There were, if you count the pre-show, we had 12 total matches, including the longest women's match in AEW history, which is pretty exciting. I had no idea. I heard at the press conference that was so, and it's not something I even considered, at least on a pay-per-view. I don't know in total history, but on a pay-per-view for sure. Tyler, do you want to go in order, or do you want to just give our overalls? How do you want to break this down?
I would say overall. And then I think inevitably those matches will come up. I got to tell on myself. I did not catch all of 0 Hour this time. I bought my pay-per-view on YouTube. I'm kicking myself for getting the Triller discount. And it went directly into QT versus AJ.
Yeah.
Brad, I still don't know who Big Boom AJ is, or the Rizzler, or the Kid. And I could easily just fix this by spending some time on Google. But apparently they're TikTok famous. They have some sort of Costco gimmick. That was the first match I saw.
Yeah, I only knew of the Rizzler. Everybody going like the Costco boys are going to be here. Or the Costco boys. I got a couple of messages from students asking me what I think about this.
Wow! So they have a real audience.
They have a real audience, and honestly, I don't get it or care. But what I got from this, and you know, like I think this is one of those times where you just don't have to care, right? Like wrestling is a silly spectacle. Ultimately, like it's silliness. It's all silliness. It's awesome though. And if the crowd isn't into it, you know that the show is going to die. And the crowd was up for this. And this was the third 0-hour match, and the crowd was going nuts for this. Really, really exciting to see Tall Paul. Really exciting that he came out with the Rizzler. I know they did that on purpose to go like, who's the biggest person we have? Let's bring them out with this 3.5 foot tall person and have them walk over to the announce table or the timekeeper's table and get ready for the bell and stuff. It was just silly. QT Marshall sold that spear like Roman gave it, and it was a lot of fun. I just think this was like pro wrestling, especially with a celebrity, but pro wrestling at its finest. And it's cool that Big Boom has a wrestling background. He's a trained wrestler. So, you know, obviously hasn't been in the ring in probably who knows how long, but pretty cool that like he knew the business and went in there with a guy who is a trainer that he probably felt like, no, this is going to be safe. We know the crowd's going to have a reaction to QT. All good things, man. I thought this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. I didn't think it was a good match or anything. I thought it was just fun.
It's not going to make your end of the year.
No.
Top rankings. Fair point.
No, AJ looked blown up for the whole match. Like, dude was struggling out there. He was trying to go boom, boom, but he could only get out 2 before going like for the third one, just gasping for air. It was pretty sad, but ultimately it was a lot of fun.
I just would have, and then I know probably everyone listening and watching, and I think you would agree with this too, Brad. I just would have preferred watching either of those first 2 matches. I was actually watching the ASU football game, which we'll talk about later. That's what stopped me from starting 0 hour on time. I would have loved to have seen Anna Jay versus Deonna Purrazzo. I'm so glad Deonna got a match in Jersey. That's big time. I'm surprised she lost, but I guess hopefully that feud will.
Well, Anna Jay has taken a few L's in a row after coming
back.
She
has. We need Anna Jay to pick up wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Deonna's got the vendetta with her and Taya. Very interested there.
Yeah.
I wish I would have seen Buddy Matthews pick up a dub.
That was fun.
That 4-way was probably a blast.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. That match was a lot of fun. As far as a wrestling match goes, that was incredible.
I bet it was.
As far as caring about it, I didn't. I just was super excited to see the match. And I think that's the AEW thing. I think a lot of times the spectacle is the spectacle for spectacle's sake. It's not a storytelling device. Sometimes the matches are just the matches. And sure, you can have feuds and stuff out of that, but I don't really know or care about almost anybody in that match except for Buddy Matthews. And I hate to say that. It's just the Beast Mortos has kind of a character. And I don't know what that person wants. Commander has a character. He's got no character whatsoever. He just is high flying. I don't know what separates him from even Dante Martin being in the match. Aside the mask, they're kind of the same person in terms of they don't really talk, and then they do the high flying stuff. And then there's Buddy. At least Buddy is in the House of Black, and we kind of get that part. So glad he finally got a win. He's been in a bunch of matches lately where it just feels like he's taking L's left and right.
Right. Yeah, that Adam Cole match.
I miss AEW Dark so much, where you could get these people wins, get them in matches, have them work with other talent. It kind of feels like they're obviously not in this case, but it just feels like they do that on TV now as a way to get them experience. And I'm not in love with it, but really glad that Buddy was at least getting exposure as the only member of the House of Black, only male member of the House of Black that wasn't on the card, the main card. So glad he got in there. Also very excited to see like Malachi Black, man. Dude is a star. I don't know if you were paying attention when they were announcing, because it was, it was right before the end of the 0 hour going into Full Gear.
I did catch the entrances for the 4-way tag.
The entrances were a lot of fun. But the crowd reaction to the announcement of just Malachi Black and Brody King before they started barking, dude got the biggest reaction in there. And unfortunately, it just seemed like nobody really cared when Private Party came out. They got like courtesy applause.
Yeah. Okay. At this point, audible, like any great teacher, Brad Winchester, we will improvise. I think we should just go match by match at this point. The 4-way tag to start out the night. This show was really a matter of great hits, home runs for me.
Yes.
And some huge swings and misses.
Agreed.
The first match was a huge swing and a huge miss for me. The friction between the Acclaimed. Okay, good part of this, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster are definitely breaking up.
100%.
Probably by World's End. That's kind of the niche of World's End.
Yes.
Is it's where friendship goes to end. Right. To disintegrate.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that with MJF versus Adam Cole, Mina versus Mariah. It's really what this show is designed for. But anyway, the friction between the Acclaimed, to me, completely overshadowed Private Party picking up its first title defense, its first victory. That's a huge deal, given that these were day one guys. I could have done for 1 or 2 moments where Bowens and Caster were not on the same page, but they just kept going to it over and over and over again. The Outrunners were there. I really enjoyed their new entrance. That was the first time I had seen the 1980s sort of presentation.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which was great, and they're super over. Yeah, House of Black is just kind of there for, because we want them to be in prominent positions. But this it really affected my enjoyment of the match. We just kept going to the Acclaimed rather than leaning into just a great contest. I think this could have been. This match was not it for me. I'm glad Private Party won. Right, the right dudes went over.
Yes. Agreed.
But it was all about the Acclaimed. And I'm here for Anthony Bowens eventually defeating Max Caster. But to me, it completely overshadowed what should have been Private Party.
To your point, that this should have been Private Party, all Private Party, talk about Private Party, all the storytelling about Private Party, having to overcome the Acclaimed former champions, the Kings of the Black Throne former champions, the Outrunners who just won a tournament to get into this match. Like, we have to prioritize Private Party being built as a real threat and not they just got lucky that second time against the Bucks. Like, that's kind of it. They've been doing the red rope thing and showing up to watch the tournaments, but they haven't been defending. And then you do it at this match, and instead of talking about how they're defending, we're highlighting a story of the Acclaimed having too much friction in this big match and not breaking up. If they're not going to break up in this big match, tell that story on your TV product and then have that big moment be on the pay-per-view. Otherwise, you're just wasting time on this pay-per-view. You're getting people to see the culmination of storytelling, so much storytelling that you want them to pay money to see it. We didn't get that. We got nothing from this other than Private Party 1. There's still friction. There was already friction there. And there is friction still. So nothing changed.
No.
Nobody, the title didn't change hands. The only story coming out of this is the friction that we already knew existed. And now what's next for Private Party, your tag team champions? They have done such a terrible job. And by they, I mean TK, with booking the tag team belts over the last 2 years, basically longer than that. Since the trios belt showed up, the tag team division has sort of been like this thing we have that's cute, but we're going to take even our tag teams and our tag team champions and make them trios and have them always fight in trios. And then we'll just throw some tag teams in there every once in a while. I mean, it's a problem without having writers and long-term plans outside of TK's head. And maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe people do. Maybe I'm just completely ignorant to this. We were talking before we started here about how we're probably ignorant to a lot. But the idea that we're going to sit here and have this tag match, and I don't know, I keep going back to number one, Mark Briscoe and his run as ROH champ. Number two, why do I care about this? Because it's been on AEW television. I'm paying $10 to see what happens in ROH. I want to watch AEW. What I do know is that Mark Briscoe, I believe, went months plural without defending that. He had that title, and I think he defended it once when he lost it. I'm not sure if he defended it before that. He just went months without defending it. He won it, did nothing. I think they forgot, and then suddenly is defending his belt. That seems to be happening a lot in AEW with the other championships, where it's just like, I will never, like, I'm glad we got the Mina story. That's a good story with Mariah May, Mina, and then eventually Toni Storm's going to come back and things are going to get wacky in there.
They're going to go to Australia. Tony
right.
beats Mariah.
But that's also, you know, we got Mina and Stardom and that title, and there's a lot going on there that I know that's a good setup for New Japan, having Mariah May come back as an AEW talent, and all of that makes good business sense, and the story's good. But she didn't wrestle on this card, and that makes me kind of crazy that your women's champ didn't wrestle. The TBS champ did, but at least they got screen time. At least they were on there. It was disgusting. The blood was a lot. I didn't know what was going on with Mina chewing it.
Mina channeling her inner Shayna Baszler from, what was that, 2020?
Yeah, and that part's fine, but it wasn't the blood part. It was the like the chewing the cud. It was either you bit yourself real bad, or that's a blood capsule that you're chomping on there to make sure all the blood comes out, and we're just watching you chew the blood capsule, or you lost a tooth and you're in a lot of pain and you're trying to act through it. Either way, I was like unsettled by all of it.
Either option isn't great.
No, either one of those things is terrible. Because that was an ugly bump. That table did not give. The second table did, luckily, but
that whole segment was
Tyler was terrible.
Why not just have
it was Britt Baker and her cheeseburgers. Kind of terrible.
That's a callback.
All we needed was Nyla to show up. But nobody lost the belt didn't change hands yet. So then we need Nyla back.
I just for sure. Okay, to me it would have been just as effective, if not more so, way more effective, if Mariah May hits Mina in the back of the head with the champagne, just like how she turned on Toni Storm.
Exactly.
I did not expect Mina to see it coming, duck, and then they have that moment, that kind of awkward face-off of, did you just try to wreck me? You did? Let me spear you through this table. To your point, Brad, the spot, like, missed the table, but then they ended up on the table and crashing through it, and then, you know, Mina with the blood. It just... These two are great. The match is going to be awesome, assuming that happens at World's End. Yeah. But yeah, this particular segment, and even just the idea of having a women's segment as opposed to a match. To your point, actually, I want to roll this right into the next match. As a matter of fact, I would have much rather seen a Mariah May defense rather than MJF versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah,
Roderick Strong and MJF, two of the best in-ring talent in the entire company. This storyline, so this was also a miss for me. I promise there's
cheeks, man.
I promise some of this event I really, really love, Brad. But back-to-back matches, this storyline of MJF versus Adam Cole is not one I am enjoying. MJF is the good guy in this story.
Yes.
All of a sudden, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Undisputed Kingdom are presented as people we want to root for. No, last year they turned on MJF. It was brutal. They're the bad guys. How we just sort of retrofit the storylines to make sense for where we're at now. I'm not good with it. I still want to root for MJF. It was clear how this match was going to go. MJF was going to beat Roddy, and then he was going to do something dastardly after the match. He does it, and then finally Adam Cole's music plays for him to come out. And in storyline sense, I think Adam Cole is shrewd enough to know, hey, I should probably be there at ringside, or at least be in Gorilla, because I know MJF has promised that he's going to wreck Roderick Strong, and MJF, being the heel he is going to do that right after the match. Yeah. So just from a storyline sense, this particular feud hasn't worked for me, and the way this match was executed, I just thought, wait, Adam Cole is smarter than this. I still want to root for MJF because they did him dirty. I don't know why Undisputed Kingdom are now people we want to root for. And I want Wardlow back.
Yeah,
this was
we need Wardlow.
These were back-to-back misses for me. I just want Ricky Starks. back, Brad.
Yeah.
That GCW promo
He's not coming back. There's no shot.
Earlier in the
After
day,
that, there's no shot.
okay, I had the opposite reaction to you. I thought, okay, Ricky Starks popped up in this New Jersey mall for GCW hours before Full Gear. Maybe, just maybe, this is our sign, Brad Winchester, that Ricky Starks will show up in AEW when we least expect it. Maybe it's the night, and it didn't happen. We didn't get a Mariah defense, but we got MJF versus Roddy, which was giving Dynamite opener for me.
I completely agree with you on all fronts. Except for the Ricky thing. When he did the promo, I was like, there's no shot that he's showing up. He showed up at that GCW event nearby to make it known that he's unhappy with the company that he's currently signed to.
Can we talk about it? That promo was fuego.
Yes, it was. And he's right. I've never sided with somebody so hard in my life. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I really hope they don't put him in NXT. I want better things for him. NXT is great, but Ricky's not NXT. Ricky is beyond NXT. Get him on the main card immediately. I just don't know how he does with scripts. So, you know, maybe he'll have to go there for that. But man, I don't see him in TNA. I think he could do well there, but he's just WWE or AEW, and he's not doing anything in AEW. So
he seems WWE made. He said in the promo, to your point, Brad, I'm healthy, I'm a generational superstar, and I'm also good looking. Like, I'm not going to be, what do you say? I'm not going to be frozen out of my prime.
Yes.
I'm 34 years old. I'm ready to go. You and I have talked about it on and off air constantly. Ricky Starks, Danhausen, and we won't talk about Wardlow or Keith Lee in this instance because health does play a role.
Right.
But by all accounts, from both of these guys, Danhausen, we're just coming off of, not just coming off, but we're coming off of Halloween last month. Ideal time to use him. Didn't happen. And then Ricky Starks now popping up and just restoring the feeling for all of us. He just reminded us, oh, he is one of the best promo and in-ring talents in the entire world. So I just wanted Ricky Starks. I didn't want this particular match. I think it could have happened on Dynamite. And the MJF Adam Cole storyline.
With Kyle O'Reilly. Don't forget Kyle O'Reilly did show up at the end there,
thank you. Okay.
That's something coming out of it too. But it's like,
thank you. That's a great point. That's a great point.
But that's an end of that Dynamite match. That's what should have happened at the end of a Dynamite match.
Adam Cole waited late. So that's a great point. It wasn't just for ridiculous sake. It did lead to Kyle O'Reilly getting upset at Adam Cole, pushing him, and that's leading to something.
There are a few matches on here, like actually more than a few matches on here that, you know, ended a storyline or should have ended a storyline that were the culmination of a storyline. And then a bunch on here that felt like a pay-per-view match to set up the next pay-per-view match. That really pisses me off. I'm paying to watch this. It's not like getting my Peacock subscription, getting my miles out of that where I get the pay-per-view for no money up front. Like, I'd be fine for paying for WrestleMania. I know what I'm getting out of that. If I got to pay $10 more a month or $10 more just to get that event, cool, I'll do that. It's $50 for this as a payoff for us viewers who have been loyal to the product. And what we got was set up for the next match on the next pay-per-view. I have now no faith that the next pay-per-view is going to be a payoff for me, except for the talent that you know you're going to get a payoff for. I expected more from that particular match. It's just that storyline sucked. It just felt so like rehashed too. Mm-hmm. It just felt like the Jericho storyline. I told you that, like the Trials of Jericho.
You did.
He's going to get all the way to the end and then lose and then not wrestle MJF. And it's exactly what the F happened.
And I thought we were all on board with pivoting away from the Devil storyline. If we look back at it, this was exactly a year ago, right? It ended at World's End when Adam Cole revealed himself to be the Devil. I think by all accounts, it was presented as one of the biggest storylines in AEW history, but overall, it was a miss. It didn't. They landed the plane on the storyline itself that the reveal happened, but I don't think many of us look back at that storyline as being one of the best in company history. I just assumed that they were going to pivot from that, right? MJF showed up. I think it was at Double or Nothing. He low blowed Adam Cole. MJF's a good guy. He's got the Triple H denim jacket. We're just going to move on. Different directions for these two characters. I truly did not expect them to revisit it. I get there's something savvy about, okay, 1 year to the day of the Adam Cole turn, they're going to fight again at World's End. but MJF is the guy we should be rooting for here. It is not Undisputed Kingdom. It's just not working for me. The next match is working for me. It did work for me, but these first two, I was pretty out on.
I gotta say that real quick, the MJF thing. I agree with you that he is the good guy in this storyline, but this storyline happened after he tried to murder Daniel Garcia, which is when he ultimately switched back. So like, I have no reason to root for MJF.
Look at Daniel Garcia now. Look at him now.
Oh yeah, but that's not MJF's doing.
MJF it worked out for DG.
MJF committed a crime. I'm not going to.
He's in the best position of his career. It built up some.
Daniel Garcia followed Roddy Strong's. I see how this connects now. He followed Roddy Strong's path. Daniel Garcia won. What did MJF do? Try to kill him with a pile driver. Why is it related? Because Daniel Garcia apparently is next strong, and now we're here. Okay, I'm gonna rat it for the sake of time. I'm gonna say we'll talk about the main event, and the follow to the main event. I'm just gonna go in order, and I'll say my piece about the other matches. I loved Mercedes and Chris. I thought that was a lot of fun. I even liked the video beforehand with Mercedes and Camille in the back, very clearly setting that up. Probably at World's End, right? That's going to be the match, Mercedes and Camille. Camille's probably going to kill Mercedes, and I think that needs to happen, to be honest with you. But I love this for Stat. Stat didn't need the win. She's already won the TBS championship, and it wouldn't have been that big of a moment. And it was already kind of a weird, well, we need you to stop being heel turn thing that happened there. Jay White defeated Hangman Adam Page. That also needed to happen. That was a lot of fun. Those guys could fight for the rest of the time. I'll be happy with that. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay was my favorite match of the night. That match was absurd, like all of it. And I think the right person won. Will Ospreay is bulletproof, and Kyle Fletcher he was already a star. Like, I feel like this was his making, right? Like, this is, if he can beat Will that way, he can beat anybody going forward. And the eventual Kyle Fletcher Kenny Omega match is going to be insane. The next match is Daniel Garcia beating Jack Perry by submission. It was a fun match. Right guy won. Takeshita and Ricochet. I can't wait to hear your thoughts about this. I saw a lot of people complaining about Ricochet online, and I was surprised to see it. Not that anything he did was bad, but people were complaining that he was too WWE. I don't even know what that means. I'll get your thoughts later. I thought Lashley beating Swerve made all the sense in the world. It was Lashley's first match on here. Swerve had him for a lot of it, and then he didn't. And then Lashley just got him and killed him. So, and then he killed Nana, which is also a thing that happened. I really liked that. I thought it wasn't a super long match, but it showcased both the guys, made Lashley look like a monster. I think a lot of people that haven't watched WWE that tuned into AEW and saw him, they got to see Bobby Lashley's work for the first time, and that was Bobby Lashley. I was a little worried about him on that bump on the outside, though. That landing looked ugly. Now, what are your thoughts about those matches, Tyler? About the rundown of the rest of the card?
There's so much that I loved from what you just read, starting in order. Mercedes versus
they were all great matches. Those were the ones that I like. I would love to talk the most about, but keeping the negativity going, I figured we save it for the main event.
Well played. This is why you're the greatest co-host I know. So yeah, for me, it's really, so the vibes leaving a pay-per-view, so much of it is determined for me as a viewer, as a wrestling fan, by how it starts and how it ends. A lot can be forgiven if it starts well and ends well. This year's Full Gear 2024 from Jersey had the opposite for me. The matches you just read were awesome to match of the year candidates.
Yes.
You mentioned this stat earlier. I'm trying to avoid the pun. Chris versus Mercedes, fantastic. Two of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Great chemistry. I have a feeling we're going to run this back at some point.
Chris is right there.
Hey,
you're poking at
Galaxy's greatest alien.
Yes.
They have great chemistry. I don't think this is going to happen at World's End, but I think at some point next year, they're going to run this match back, and it may, Who knows? It may even exceed what we saw here, but this is great. Of course, Mercedes was going to win, but the way they kind of rolled into the finish, the hope spots, the near falls, I bit several times. I loved this match. It was one of my favorites on the card. Switchblade defeating Hangman. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. Brad, I know Hangman's been kind of sinking lower and lower into his character is just going to keep getting low and low until he reaches a breaking point.
Yep.
Jay White winning makes a lot of sense. I think he could eventually be a challenger for Jon Moxley. And
I thought he was taking the contract at the end. I thought
yeah, well, we're going to talk. I didn't know what was.
That was okay. Yeah. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
What I liked or loved right now.
Yeah.
Jay White winning. He's the person that has Hangman's number, much like Swerve did for a full calendar year. I'm good with that. And I think ultimately, to your point about people who are bulletproof, at this point, Hangman Page is pretty bulletproof in AEW. I'm sure he's going to have a world title reign again at some point. I know we have kind of a list of people who we believe are going to have a world title reign next year. Not sure Hangman is there yet, but he is really the centerpiece of AEW. His journey is pivotal to AEW. So fine with him taking the L here. Well-worked match, just like the one they had at the previous pay-per-view. Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. Oh my goodness. You and I spoke a couple weeks ago about Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita and the years both of those guys had. We were in agreement that if we were to choose, which is maybe unfair to Takeshita, but if we were to choose who's had the better year, both of us agreed it's Fletcher because he really emerged from being an amazing tag team wrestler to a single star. Brad, when this man came out with the crown and the entrance, what was it? It's not that I want to live forever. I want to die as a king.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The great entrance music. I thought, oh man, Kyle Fletcher may in fact be up. He doesn't even have next. He has now. I love that he was just better than Will Ospreay. He didn't need a screwdriver. He didn't need interference by Don Callis. He was just unstoppable on this night. That's how I love my heels. We did put out a poll on social media. We asked, what was your favorite AEW Full Gear match? And Stat versus Mercedes earned 17% of the vote. Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy earned 6%. We had an other category that earned 16%, but the clear and decisive winner was Fletcher versus Ospreay, earning 61% of the vote, Brad. And with good reason. I mean, it's no surprise. These guys know each other so well. Their styles mesh perfectly. This was a fantastic match. Kyle Fletcher is one of the biggest winners of 2024 across wrestling. I'm sure we'll talk about him more in the coming weeks, but this match was really an instant classic. Next up, Daniel Garcia. I love this night for him. You know how much I had been anticipating him becoming champ for the first time.
Right.
The video package, the vignette they played for him before he came out, very much a finish the story vibe. It played the voicemail from his mom. It all worked super well for me. I know the crowd seemed a bit exhausted at this point,
especially after that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How do you follow up?
It's a bad spot on the card.
It is. Kudos to Perry and Garcia. I'm so happy that in back-to-back matches here, the right guy truly won. This is really a success from Full Gear, is that you had these seminal moments for your young talent, the people who presumably are going to take the baton from the Bryan Danielsons, the Jon Moxleys. Like, who are those guys next? And I love that Daniel Garcia got his moment. I love that Kyle Fletcher picked up a clean win. So all good there. Takeshita versus Ricochet. I did not. I somehow avoided you mentioned criticism of Ricochet maybe being too WWE. This match was awesome. There was no doubt in my mind who was going to win, but these guys
I thought it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. These guys are, styles make fights. These guys are a perfect clash here. Again, at this point, the pay-per-view was feeling very long for me as well. And Ricochet went back to the long boys as opposed to the trunks, which surprised me. Yeah, to the trunks. But Takeshita needed the win. I'm really eager to see what's next for Ricochet. The right guy won this match. Of course, it was well worked. And this is Takeshita's world, and we just have the privilege of living in it. The last one you mentioned, Bobby Lashley took out Swerve. This was 13 minutes. I don't think it needed to be any longer. Very effective. I'm sure Swerve is going to recruit some people to join him, whether that be EJ and Doku or Keith Lee. Like, I think we're going to get some faction v faction here. The fact that they took out Prince Nana was so uncalled for, but so great. If you want me to boo the Hurt Syndicate, they're much like Ricochet, actually, Brad. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You're someone who creates beats. Much like Ricochet's entrance theme, the Hurt Syndicate's theme has really grown on me. I'm loving both right now, so I can't wait to see what's next for the Hurt Syndicate. I'm sure that we're gonna run this Swerve feud for the next few months. This was great. There were some snug moments, as you said. That Lashley spear on Swerve through the guardrail through the audience, that was really concerning. I was like, oh my gosh, please tell me Swerve didn't hit his head on the floor. So there were spots in this where I was like, okay, guys, please come out of this okay. But this was great. I think it was also well positioned. If you were going to have a match be in that tough spot before the main event, if you were to trust two performers to execute it well, I'm glad it was this. I didn't want that spot for, say, Mercedes versus Chris. I didn't want the crowd to be exhausted by then. I thought these guys really got the crowd into it. And Bobby Lashley picking up his first pay-per-view dub is a big deal.
Yeah, I like the music, but it's not something I've listened to in isolation because I can't hear it. It's they crank up the crowd noise so you can just kind of hear it tinny and echoey in the background, and I'm like, oh. I think it's pretty good. It's working for me so far. The presentation of this group, we haven't gotten a lot of words from everybody in there yet, so we'll see how that goes going forward. But so far so good. I think it's, they had a formula when they were doing the Hurt Business and it worked. So why try to change it up? It's working right now. It's awesome. So can't wait to see what happens going forward. The main event, Tyler, was Jon Moxley with Marina Shafir. I love the handcuff gimmick and Orange Cassidy. I hated this match so much. I haven't hated a match this much in a while.
Wow. I was not aware.
Having your main event just be an elongated squash match, which is what it was. I mean, Orange Cassidy got a couple, like, it wasn't until the end when he got some offense in. It was just like getting his ass beat it was a 19-minute and 20-second match. And for 17 minutes, he got his ass beat.
He started out hot. I know you saw those orange punches, but then from that to the end,
bell rang, punch to the face. And then after that, it was bleeding everywhere, like to an uncomfortable level. And then he lost. Interference Jones, Wheeler Yuta getting in there. And then I'll give you credit. The play is Darby. And I think it's Darby. Tyler, 7,000 people were involved at the end of this. I don't know what the hell is going on. I am struggling to care. We got Willow running out to fight Marina, which was fine. Willow's on the screen, so I'm excited. But when she took out Marina, she fell down. And I was like, well, Marina Shafir standing over you. If I can suspend disbelief for a second, I can believe that you're going to get up. If that really happened, you're dead. You are going to die now. So I was struggling. I was like, well, now she's dead. That was my first thought when I saw Marina stand up and look down at Willow. I was like, well, she's effed. Marina's going to kill her. She's going to put her in like some weird leg choke and she's done. And then you got all these baby faces running out to help. There was when Rocky Romero like cross-bodied off the top rope into the pile of humanity. When he hit Claudio, he bounced off of him like a toy and landed in the dirt. And it was just so absurd where everybody had to everybody jump back now because Rocky Romero is so small compared to these enormous human beings. And Rocky Romero is not exactly small. So I saw that. I was like, cool, Rocky Romero's there. Does anybody care? Like, Rocky's here. Courtesy applause because he's not from this company. And I'm confused as to why I should care as an AEW fan. It's more stuff with cross promotional things with ROH, with New Japan, but poorly. It's not always the same guys from New Japan. Sometimes it's Rocky just sporadically appears. Of course, we know why, because of chaos, because Orange Cassidy's his friend, and because of what. I get it. I don't care, but I get it, but I don't care. And it's just that all happened, which led to going outside, which then led to no payoff at all for the random car. And then a different car being conveniently parked behind a bus or a truck. I was like, oh, they just stole that car. I was like, what was that car doing there? Who parks there? No, they stole the car that was clearly set up for them. Make it make sense a little bit more. I've never been this critical of an AEW event. This was ass. Like, all of the end of this show was so bad that I wanted to gouge my eyes out and ask for my money back. And I've never felt that way about an event, because all I have to do is ignore that main event and ignore the first two matches. And this is one of the best pay-per-views ever. But you put those three turds at the front and the end, and what is left in my mouth is the taste of turd. And that's all I got left. Darby crawling out of that car, right? Eventually. We never see it happen, so we're not sure. Maybe Darby came out of the bus. So Darby crawling away with blood on his face, and then getting mad at the other car, and then smashing it with the skateboard as soon as he could get up, because it took him a while to get up under that car. He kept slipping and falling and slipping and falling. I'm like, the big credible threats here. The guy who can't get on the hood while wearing a pink fur coat for some reason and holding a skateboard, bleeding everywhere. Make me care. I don't. I was so pissed off at the end of this. Like, I stayed there and stared at the AEW logo, waiting for more to happen.
No, you did it.
I was sitting here going,
all rights reserved. You just,
it was like they logged off, and they were like, it was such a wet fart of a commentary ending too. I didn't know it ended. Like, it ended, and it was like, thank you for watching AEW. And I was just like, no, they're gonna do a Triple H here, right? Like, they're gonna cut away from this, and
something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna happen.
We're getting Shane McMahon.
Yeah, nope, it was just over. And then we went to the presser, and it sucks because we both love all of the talent involved here. Every one of them, they're all awesome. I don't care about the story. I don't get it. Moxley said it's his company and it's gonna. You're never gonna. What? What does that even mean? He's got entrance music. Isn't the company playing the entrance music?
Right.
The company that. What?
Yeah, that he's at war with.
If it's his company now, why are they still playing entrance music for people that aren't in the Death Riders?
Right.
What is happening?
Why does Pac only wear his wrestling gear?
It doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't he have?
And he's always wet.
Some chinos and some.
Yes.
He's always.
It's like a public bathroom. Like,
yeah,
there's inexplicable wetness.
It's strange to me. A bright side out of this is that Orange Cassidy again proved that he is a credible main event of a pay-per-view talent. We know about a year ago, All Out.
Did he? He got his ass kicked for 17 minutes.
I thought so. I thought I was here for all, but there were a couple of near falls, Brad, where I thought, okay, I'm pretty staunch on my I'm pretty staunch on my Darby prediction, but I don't know. Like, OC's proving again that that
kick out was at 2.99999.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly it.
But that was all mocked.
Because I could see it. I could see OC officially becoming champ, but
but he cheated to get there. So, like, this is the thing.
Like, and we wanted to root for him.
And we were like, well, we don't care. Baby faces can cheat. Let him do it. I just, like, I was all there for it. The crowd was all there for it. I totally see him as a main event star. I totally get it. You see how everybody, like, he was justified to be in that spot, no doubt. And then they. So
you think he's been justified a while? Like, the skeptics aren't as heavy as they were
for at least
a
2
year
years
ago. We know Orange Cassidy is. He's not just a comedy act.
Since it was the first Forbidden Door, I think, like, undeniable at that point that he should be in those big spots. I thought this was perfect for him. The story was all there. This was all there, and then they squashed him for 20 minutes.
And the last time he and Mox main evented, I think this is All Out. I want to say 22, 23. It happened kind of by accident, right? Because that was the CM Punk fallout,
right.
And then he needed to pivot. But this was the first time. No, we've established the storyline. We believe Orange Cassidy can be at the top of the bill with the Mox, Danielson, MJF. So,
but it took 19 of his finishing moves to try to stop Jon Moxley, and it didn't work. And that's kind of historically, unless if he's facing a lower card heel, he's one punching them and pinning them. If it's anybody that's a former champ or a credible champ or a babyface that recently turned, he's got to hit him 14 times and then he gets pinned. And it's just so endlessly frustrating to like pick something. I don't know that did him any favors, because he got in there and got his ass kicked like a lot. And the only time he got really, really close to pinning him was when he cheated. I don't know that helped him. Nobody's going to remember that. Nobody's going to see it that way. But when I look at it like objectively from a storytelling standpoint, all you did was make him go, I'm desperate, give me a briefcase, which is part of the storyline. I get it, but it should have been after he beat the shit out of Jon Moxley and then couldn't get the pin. Then he hits him with the briefcase. That I can buy into, but that's not what happened. He hit him out of desperation because he was losing so badly. Not because he was winning and couldn't get the pin. He was getting his ass kicked, and out of desperation, he hit him and cheated. Not because he couldn't. He wasn't frustrated babyface. I've done everything I can. No, he was bleeding on the floor, on the mat, on people. He just getting the shit kicked out of him. And then he grabbed a fucking briefcase with a belt in it and hit Jon Moxley 2.99. And everybody's like, oh, he looked great coming out of this. Are you fucking out of your mind? No, we did not. You looked like a giant wiener in there. I had to bring it full circle to the wiener.
Yeah, you did. You did. I see you have strong feelings about this. Okay, a few quick points on one, because I know we have other topics to discuss on this episode. Earlier in the night, much earlier, Orange Cassidy had a backstage segment. I forget if it was Renee or Lexi Nair that was interviewing him, but he used the same lines that he did during a Dynamite promo. I think it was last week or the week before, in which he said, you don't need AEW. I need AEW. If it wasn't for AEW, Private Party, myself, Darby, we would not have what we have now. I'm going to take what's in your briefcase and put it in my backpack. Yeah. It seemed like an exact retread of a great promo I already saw. That was questionable. So the interference of the conglomeration, I just don't see the conglomeration as a main event.
No, I don't care about them at all.
Again,
great individual talents.
Great. We love all of them. Happy to see Willow, as you pointed out. But the conglomeration to me doesn't scream main event angle. I just don't want that. And then post-match, all of this was confusing to me, Brad. The fact that Christian Cage pops up. Oh, maybe he's going to cash in. Let's see what goes on. Well, no, Hangman first comes out, which confused me because he already lost earlier in the night. And then apparently it's just a way for Christian Cage. They're kind of working in cahoots for Christian Cage to come out, hit Moxley with the kill switch.
Yeah,
he's seemingly going to cash in until Jay White reappears. At that point, Hangman's gone. Jay White lays out Christian Cage for revenge sake
for the injury. Right.
For the injury, Jay White leaves, Mox and the Death Riders, Marina, the whole crew leaves, and then that's when we get Darby coming in, truly adopting the way I used to play Grand Theft Auto Vice City, just running into cars, looking to start fights with dudes. He does that, and then we end the show with the Death Riders leaving in this random truck. My favorite part of this, Brad, is that Claudio took out the random valet attendant.
Yes,
that part I did love. That part
I
did love. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah,
sorry, dude. But then Darby predictably is the person driving the car. The show ends with him saying, Death Riders, come on, you want to fight me? I'm willing to die for this. I'm willing to die to protect AEW. It really is setting up that next pay-per-view. And it's good when you set up, the next TV show week to week, but we've been so spoiled by WWE and Peacock. The fact that we are laying out so much money, $54 if you include tax, for these shows. Again, it goes back to my viewing habits. How you start and how you end a show goes a long way for me. And unfortunately with Full Gear 24, it didn't start in a satisfying way for me.
Yeah.
And this finish was just, there was so much going on and so many seemingly disparate parts involved where you could argue storyline wise, it is sensical, but it just seemed too overbooked.
Yeah.
And
way too much.
And this storyline of the Death Riders, it's to me, it's very much giving the Devil storyline of it is the top one in the company. It's being presented that way, but I'm just not invested in it.
Right. I agree. I just, there's no reason to care right now. I mean, I'm hopeful. AEW usually comes through, and I think this event's going to be good, but you know, I paid for this, and I'm being very critical, maybe mean.
We're pretty down on this. Is maybe the most down we've been on an AEW pay-per-view.
It's been a while.
In a long time.
It's been a while. It's been over a year probably since I've been down on a pay-per-view this much. I go on, if you look at social media, it's impossible to trust how people feel about this stuff, because I've seen glowing reviews about how top to bottom this show was incredible, and it's like, did you watch last year's or something by accident? Like, the show is not incredible, and it had incredible talent on it, and the show itself the build to it wasn't good. It felt rushed. Not all of it, some of it. The Ospreay Kyle Fletcher storyline had legs. The main event had legs. Mercedes and Chris was decent.
Takeshita versus Ricochet had been built up over.
Yeah. I mean,
weeks. Ricochet's picking up wins. He did it at Full Gear, but love that he's a threat.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, they could have done a better job, I think, with that. But they've been in matches together and stuff, so it made sense to have that match. I don't know really what the story was other than let's fight. So after that, it's
just about
it's more fight. So
yeah.
Which is fine. That's an AEW thing, and I don't hate that. But just establish that. Like I need that more established, and I don't know how to do that other than like, when Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, that was Danielson's first match in AEW. It was like, people said that I'm better and people say that you're better. Let's find out. That's all I need. I don't need more than that. But let's go. Two of the best ever. Okay. I feel like some people feel that way about current Takeshita and current Ricochet. You're two of the most incredible performers on the planet. Just feel like, I think I'm better than you. Other than this like terrible, sad beef they got going here, and then Don Callis shambling around on the outside for some reason. Always, it's just like that whole Callis family thing has been confusing to me. I don't really understand that story right now. Callis is there. They're in a family. What does that mean? What are their goals? What are they doing? I don't really care. It used to feel like super important, and now it just is there. I don't know. Like after the initial, we're going to turn the screen black and just play the low bass hum for entrance music turn, I think that was all great. And then ever since then, it's fallen off a lot. Like, I don't really understand the Callis family and the point of that storyline, but I don't know. Having your women's champ in a segment instead of on the card, but having like, I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff about this that I just didn't like. And I don't know what's next for Orange Cassidy. What do you do after this? I can't ever see him doing that again, because like, why would he? He just got dog walked by Jon Moxley for 19 minutes. And for what purpose? I will win. I have to. And then he didn't. Okay, now what? Where does that character go from here? Blacker pants? A blacker jacket? I don't really know what you do with Orange Cassidy.
He's gonna get up the Levi's outlet.
Does he join the Death Riders? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't see that.
Does he quit? Go on a break for a little bit and come back? I could see that. I don't really know. Maybe he leaves and goes like, I'm out of here. The Young Bucks left. I'm leaving too. Maybe that's what happens. And then they just all come back at the same time. I don't know. Maybe Wardlow's leading the group at that point. I don't know what to do there, man. We talked about it at length for 54 minutes of our show so far, talking about what happened here, but other things happened, Tyler, and it's time to get into it. So play the music for another edition of What Happened Here.
What happened here?
I guess I'm taking this one, and I should, because I have a few words about this, Brad. You're right. It has been a minute since we had this amazing segment, and leaving Full Gear, in which we did have some questions about what took place, we got to speak about some political news because it involves our chosen profession of education. Brad, president,
and pro wrestling.
And pro wrestling, because we know that everything is wrestling. Brad, President-elect Donald Trump named Linda McMahon as the next Secretary of Education. You may recall that she formerly served as the small business czar in his first term. Brad, what happened here?
I don't know. I got nothing. I think it's
end of the segment. I'm glad that we.
Well, no, when I saw it, I was like, I don't know, because tell me why I should care, Tyler. Here's why I'm asking it like that. No, I should care who the secretary is, but why should I care when the plan is to destroy that department? You just got made Secretary of Ashes. Ooh, congratulations. You're out of a job next month. Like, I'm very confused as to why we're going like, I just appointed you Secretary of Education. I'm going to kill your department, but you are now the secretary, but you're going to be jobless soon. But welcome aboard for now, not for long. You're going away. Thank you. How does that conversation go? I want you to be appointed to the department I plan to get rid of.
Openly, not a secret.
No,
you got Vivek Ramaswamy,
So
you got Elon Musk, right? Their whole gimmick is we're cutting government waste, we're getting rid of blah blah blah, and it's been no surprise that, or it's been no secret that the Department of Ed is on that list, which is completely terrifying. But yeah, what is Linda McMahon inheriting here? I get when she was overseeing small business, but now with Department of Ed, to your point, Brad, what is the department? You said the Department of Ashes, which is hilarious. I also think
Tyler,
should you have like taught
okay
lesson before
forget that. Forget that part. Forget all that part.
Okay.
She was in charge of business, right? That makes sense.
Small business makes sense.
They want to create more options for parents, which is going to be extreme poverty for all the people that are about to lose their jobs that probably voted this way. I'm thinking about like the direct indisputable correlation between how do I frame this without sounding like an asshole? Basically, no college education and voting Republican have never been more strongly correlated ever in our voting history, where we can keep track of those things. It's never been more strongly correlated. It went up from 2020 and it was already high in 2020. It's been escalating ever since. The divide is getting crazy. And I'm just thinking about all the people that are in our support staff or all the people that are special ed aides. What are they going to do when their funding gets cut for special ed programs, when the Department of Ed goes away and they lose their job and have to contend with the fact that they voted to get fired? And that's a thing that I think about a lot when it's like you're just shooting yourself in the foot. That position you have is going to go away. Now you got to find a job. I'm not going to have a hard time finding a job. You're going to. Where are you going to work? Like a small charter school isn't going to be hiring 200 support staff. They're going to need like 3 people. And that's it. And then they're going to need discipline area teachers. There'll be plenty of those. Probably not in Arizona, which was why I'm not worried about finding a job. So like, I think about that because they're trying to go more small business, because they're trying to get like privatization and vouchers and more school. Doing it under the guise of school option, when it's like, your plan is to do the school option thing from the federal level, but there's no federal education anything. It's all state run. The only thing coming from the federal Department of Ed is funding for SPED and mental health. And you want that to go away, which is crazy to me. I understand the wanting to get rid of, you got a bunch of finance people going into it. I understand wanting to get rid of federal department or federal loans. I don't understand getting rid of federal loan forgiveness. I think the idea is trickle down economics. If we add more options, things will get cheaper. But what do you do with people like me that took out student loans federally because of the public service loan forgiveness program? Is there a plan for people that are already in it that are close to payoff? Is there a plan for people that took out the loans because of public service loan forgiveness? Because that's going to be a gigantic lawsuit at some point when all these people were like, well, I took out loans because public service loan forgiveness exists. And then you got rid of it and you're saying I got to pay my loan back. No, the only reason I was there is because this exists. I don't know if there's any way to file evidence for that, but you're looking at financial hardships that are going to trickle across America, and it's all going to impact educators and nurses and a few other groups that are in public service. And I don't think they're dumb enough to piss off all public service workers, but I also think they're entirely dumb enough to do that. I think the party's not dumb enough, but I think choices get made at a whim. Or on a whim. So I'm scared for that, but having a person with a business background who's already been in the cabinet before, leading the charge in that respect, overseeing a Department of Education that we would assume would be public if it's federal, who has probably never sniffed a public school. Maybe she has, but like Shane and Stephanie aren't going to public school. Like, I doubt Shane and Stephanie's kids went to public school. I don't know, but most people tend to send their kids to private schools when they have the money to do so. So I understand them wanting to give those options to people, but why? Because you don't even know what the experience of public school is, except anecdotally, you can find out like, oh, people are struggling there. It's bad to send your kids there. And it's like, what about the kids that are successful? So I don't know, man.
Of which there are many.
It's really complicated. And to say what happened here, man, I don't know. It's nepotism, I guess, like friends of friends. I'm going to pay it forward. Maybe it's because she needs the money to pay the lawyer to get that money for the divorce that's got to happen at some point because her husband's one of the worst people ever. Maybe that's what's going on there. Certifiably.
I don't know, by the way, because we've discussed this on and off here. Names are important. I called this man Ramaswamy. It's definitely pronounced Ramaswamy. Important note there. I want to correct myself. Brad, I'm not even going to try to top what you expressed. You put it so thoughtfully. I just think about, there was so much talk before, during, and now post-election about, what does all this mean? What is the path ahead for America? You and I obviously have chosen this profession of education. And I'll put it to you this way, Brad. I had several people in my life send me a TikTok of a teacher who the caption was like, hey, Linda McMahon from WWE is now in charge. And the teacher was like, he RKO'd a student, presumably probably his son. He RKO'd a student. He got out a table. He got a trash can as if he was going to hit someone. I don't know if you saw this. It was very comical. No. But I just thought, okay, I'm always here for the laughs. I'll have to send it to you. Always going to be here for the laughs. But I just wonder how, if at all, is this going to impact the day-to-day of amazing people in the classroom like you, in my role thinking of universities and funding for public universities. What's going to be the outcome of this? And I just don't know. I know I have these TikToks right now that I find humor in, but how is this going to impact the day-to-day experiences of people I care about? But then most importantly, of students, of our babies, of our youngsters that we take care of.
Thinking about mine a lot, and
I'm sure
that's going to be in the future.
I'm sure you are. How, if at all, does this impact them?
All my students, to your point, all my students are doing FAFSA stuff right now, and I had to tell them like get in early because I don't even know if FAFSA is going to be a thing.
Yeah, and the content, and the content. Last thing I'll say, and the content that students are exposed to, right? Telling a very nuanced, diverse, culturally minded. Telling of all their subjects, particularly of the history of our country and, the good, the bad, the where we're at now, where we've been. Like it kind of feels like it's on a thread right now, but I just have to take trust in amazing people like you who are doing the work every day. And hopefully, people just understand the importance of the profession. And like you said, Brad, all of the staff members that it takes to run a school.
Yeah.
I know teachers get a lot of the shine and the news stories and the newspaper articles, and as they should, because they're heroes. But to your point, the support staff, all of the other auxiliary components that are so valuable and don't always get that acclaim or that love. You know, school would not run without all of us. It really does take a village.
I don't want to keep harping on this, so we'll move on. Because, man, I'm tired. I just want to know if my job's going to be there in a couple of years, or if I'm going to have to sell the house to afford student loan payments that I shouldn't have to pay after committing to an agreement with available options for me and my family. It just makes me sad. And I'm a little scared about what that's going to look like. And I think that's a lot of people right now. Teaching such a tough job to begin with, having extra hurdles in there. And I don't think I know everybody probably thinks I'm all doom and gloom about this all the time. No, I'm not. I'm very hopeful about what the future is going to be. It's just like, we'll have to ride it out. It's just like, I don't like feeling so unsettled, and it sucks when you feel like you vote to defend your job. Like, that's where I am. It's like, I don't get to even have a personal choice in anything anymore. I have to vote to defend what I think will help keep my job and my profession going, that I feel like I'm pretty competent with at this point. And it just makes me sad. Mm-hmm. Tyler, we got to get into WWE. So hit me with your question.
Yeah, let's have some happy talk, some positive, some
yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
We need it. An hour and change in. Okay, this is all going to be very positive, I am sure. Brad, you've declared the last 10 minutes of Friday SmackDown to be some of the best television of the year. That's right. I saw the tweet. I saw it.
It's not that. It's that you're basically reading my questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
I'm going to finish my question.
I'm going to lean back.
CM Punk, I'm not even looking at you right now. That's hilarious. CM Punk is the OG Bloodline's fifth man. The Survivor Series, the match is this weekend. What do you think of Paul Heyman's pick, and how do you see this playing out?
First of all, putting the in front of Survivor Series, you've never sounded older in your life. Number two, I think
the Survivor Series, the Full Gear.
You know, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, I think when we talked about it before, I mentioned maybe it's CM Punk, but I don't see that happening. If I didn't, I was thinking about it because it's like, well, it's probably not going to be Brock, right? But he managed CM Punk, so it makes sense that he picked CM Punk. It makes all the sense in the world.
You brought it up last week. We had the clip.
That's the part. I just figured it would be The Rock, since he's already part of the storyline. But maybe he's waiting to see how all this plays out, and then The Rock will show up. And I say that in storyline, knowing full well he's filming Moana 2, right? Or Moana, the live action right now. So he's not going to be around for a while. So he's going to be doing the Moana 2 press stuff. He's filming Moana, the live act. Like, there's so much stuff going on with that dude. So what interested me was Paul Heyman's presentation. He wasn't acting wise man. He was acting abdicate. And he was wearing the red tee. That's what Solo used to wear. He'd wear the jacket and he'd wear the red tee under it. He's not dressed like wise man Paul Heyman. He also, like, people pointed out that he winked at Jimmy in the ring, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I think that's nothing, but we'll see what happens. Maybe, I don't know, man. Picking CM Punk makes all the sense in the world, but I can also see Paul Heyman being like, I served my time. I'm out of here. You're on your own. And then going and doing his own thing. Maybe being backstage more. Maybe, I don't know. Paul Heyman can do whatever he wants at this point. He has nothing left to prove or do.
How did you feel about the stare down between Punk and Rowan? Because that was a match when we were thinking, what are the CM Punk matches? What are the rivalries we want?
Yep.
Roman was on most of our list. I just didn't expect it to happen, for the teases to happen now, because the crowd clearly ate it up.
We're ready for it.
Okay, we're ready for it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I also think
two of the biggest names in wrestling.
I could see this being kind of a long game and maybe even a build. I think maybe that's the WrestleMania match for those two. You know, like I could see them, like, you know, helping each other, doing all this, and then it kind of boiling over at Royal Rumble. one of them eliminates the other, and then we have our path to Mania for those two. I could see that happening, absolutely. But I also know The Rock is probably going to be at Mania, so how does that all fit in? Yeah. So
we got big shows coming up. Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
December. We got Raw on Netflix. There was promotional material for that this week. There are some big shows that need some primetime matchups.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But I loved it. I thought it was really great. I have no notes.
Yeah, it was great. I specifically was interesting my viewing habits for SmackDown this week. I went backwards. I specifically sought out this segment first.
Me too.
Because I saw the chatter on social media, and the Bloodline. When we look back at the Bloodline, I really think it's going to be the unquestioned number one storyline, not even just WWE, but probably in wrestling history. I'm really comfortable to put it up there with the NWO. I know the NWO, the end of that wasn't great, but what NWO did for wrestling, how it captivated audiences, at this point, I feel comfortable putting the Bloodline storyline up there. Maybe you already felt that way, but I have not expressed this to anyone. I think I just kept it in my thoughts. The fact that it was so effective just on its own merit, but now that it has so many tentacles and it can just easily lead into these different feuds and matchups, and how everyone seemingly has benefited from it. I can't think of one person that has kind of subtracted. I know we had those defenses where like Roman beat Finn and Roman beat some other people, like KO, he beat multiple times.
Yeah.
But so those, maybe those two are questionable, but everyone involved in this just seems to be raised a level. We know what it's done for Jey Uso, main event Jey in particular. Everything is working here, and the fact that now this could potentially lead into CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, maybe for the custody of Paul Heyman. It's fantastic, and it's really moved the business forward. And I think it's for me officially one of, if not the greatest wrestling storyline that I have witnessed since I started watching wrestling, nearly 30 years ago.
I completely agree with you. I think NWO, DX, all that stuff happened around the same time.
DX, right.
But DX didn't last all that long. It did in segments, but
Austin McMahon,
right, and it would pop up here and there. But this Bloodline storyline has been going on for years now, basically since the pandemic,
and it's as hot as ever.
Yeah,
all Roman needs to do is stare at someone. The stare between him and CM Punk.
Yep,
with the facial expressions, you talked about that in a recent episode. From an acting standpoint, less is more.
Yep,
less is more,
agreed.
And it's eliciting thousands of people just euphorically expressing their approval.
I hope that we get more of that on Monday. I think Punk's a Raw guy.
That's in my gratitude. Yes.
So I'm hoping we hear, and then the music starts, and we can all get those fingers up to the sky.
I got some notes on that.
I'm hoping. All right. My question for you is very quick. The last 10 minutes. Were these the best final 10 minutes, or do you still put that giant all-star melee in the best of the last 10 minutes of a SmackDown?
Wow. This is hard. I mean, this is the best 10 minutes that I've seen. I don't know about all year, Brad, but since summer into now, I can't think of a hotter close to a SmackDown, or even just in wrestling in general.
Yeah.
CM Punk, and you pointed this out last week during our convo, CM Punk was always an option. But I just didn't realize, the fact that he's the fifth man, and then what this could lead to. The fact that it's presenting that uncertainty of how are they going to operate as a team on I think it's Saturday, the Survivor Series. Yeah. This one, and there's definitely some inherent recency bias operating in my answer, but this one for me, what we saw takes it. It's great. It's great.
It was so good, man.
I tuned in. I went to that segment. I didn't even watch SmackDown for a while. I just went to YouTube to watch that, and it was even better than I had heard on social. That's rare for me.
You know what? It's one of those things that I'm glad that I was able to catch it when it happened, rather than missing it entirely or finding out later. But I did the same thing as you. I went to the tape and watched it back. I actually caught somebody posted the full clip online, so I didn't have to go backward, but I still did when I turned on SmackDown.
I love that
to watch SmackDown. And then to see the hilarious Black Widow style Jade death on a car. My money's on Charlotte, by the way.
Wow.
I gotta say a lot of that was fun. I'm grateful we got the opportunity to see it. And Tyler, I want to express that gratitude, but we are grateful for more than that. It is Thanksgiving week. It's time to share some gratitude. Hit the music.
And now it's time for a little self-reflection. So, think about yourselves. Or something.
Tyler, I'll let you kick this one off. I have a couple of things to be grateful for. Well, many things, more than I could probably express, but I'll let you start.
As do I. For me, it really comes down to family, friends, and health this Thanksgiving holiday. I'm thinking about the week ahead. WWE Raw. As we're releasing this episode, Raw emanates from Glendale, Arizona tonight. Brad Winchester, we are reuniting. We are hopeful that we're going to see all of our favorite superstars. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for wrestling. I'm sure we'll again witness the diverse community of folks that wrestling brings out that spans political people. I don't know if people really realize this who don't follow wrestling. The fandom really spans age, political affiliation, race, gender now, which long time coming. Really grateful for you for the fact that we get wrestling tonight. And I mentioned family as well. I shared with you that my mom's 70th birthday is next month, and there's been a lot of planning into that. I just feel grateful that I'm here to see her. I'm here to facilitate this event for her, and the fact that, you know, my folks and so many people I care about are here and are healthy and doing well. And then finally, the Territorial Cup in Tucson this weekend is something I'm grateful for. Totally different dynamic from last year. U of A is downtrodden. Brent Brennan, HC, maybe gone after just 1 year in the old Pueblo. Meanwhile, ASU is ascending.
BYU.
They beat BYU. Kenny Dillingham has the highest approval of any public figure in the state of Arizona right now, at least in the Metro Phoenix area. And I can't wait to see what comes of that game. But most importantly, family, friends, health, wrestling, birthday parties, U19, what we get to do every week, everyone who tunes into us and reaches out. It just, it really fills me with so much gratitude this year.
Yeah, very similar sentiments. I'm so grateful for the people in my life, my friends, my family, my students, my colleagues, my coworkers. Really thankful that so far I've been able to stay relatively healthy. There's a lot of disgusting stuff floating around. COVID's everywhere again. Lots of people have the flu. I've seen more pneumonia cases this year than I've ever seen. And really grateful for people making me feel like I'm making a difference, which is something I need right now. And, you know, I had another student a week ago. I had that student gave me her flag football jersey. And this week, one of my swimmer students gave me her swim cap and signed it. And it meant a lot. They both ridden with me for 2 years. And that's not a small amount of time in the life of a teenager. So to get that time with them and to have them express how much our relationship and our time together has meant to them has just been so instrumental to my ability to just keep moving forward. And I'm grateful, so grateful that grad school is almost done. My God, I'm so tired. I'm so sick of sitting on this chair. I'm on a towel right now. My ass hurts. I am so tired, but I'm grateful it's almost over. And I'm grateful I have a lot of people in my life that have supported me along this journey, because it's harder when you get into your 40s and you do this stuff. This is a young man's game, and I'm just grateful for not only for the opportunities, but that it's almost over.
Yeah. Well, I love you, and I'm so proud of you, man. It's funny you mentioned the towel. That was the very first words that you emanated to me today before we recorded. I'm sitting on a towel. I'm just, I'm doing the best I can. Those artifacts that you receive from students, Brad. Maybe you told me about this and I forgot. But the most recent one, the swim cap.
No, I said I was going to save it for the show. Yep.
Man, that That's beautiful. That speaks to who you are and the difference you make. And I am truly grateful to know you. With that in mind, my friend, almost 90 minutes into our convo, what did we miss from the week?
It is hard to say. That's all I got.
It's fair. I got 3 items. Number 1, this is a callback to about 2 weeks ago. I was checking out NXT. Stephanie Vaquer and Giulia took on Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. It was the opener for NXT. Again, this is coming on about 2 weeks ago. One of my favorite tag team matches of NXT this year. Was great. Both Stephanie Vaquer and Giulia have qualified. Oh, no. That's a lie. Stephanie qualified for the Women's Iron Survivor match at Deadline.
Right. I saw that.
We expect Giulia to. Really happy with how both of them have been presented thus far in NXT. Obviously, you and I are, dare I say, 2 of their biggest fans. So looking forward to seeing what's ahead for them. On a basketball note, Trae Young is leaving Adidas to sign with Jordan Brand. Very interesting. And finally, Kendrick Lamar, also one of the biggest winners of 2024, the unquestioned king of rap right now. He released an album, a total surprise album, 12 tracks, 44 minutes, entitled GNX. I listened to it. I have thoughts. If you check out gimmickinfringementpod.com, you will see my 10 takeaways. And we encourage you to check out the site. And, of course, to follow us for exclusive show updates at GIPod19 across the social spaces.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for Thanksgiving, man. Let's get into it. Let's get into the sides and throw the turkey out in the trash.
Let's go. Oh, wow. That
has been consistent messaging for me.
No, you have the delivery. Okay. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to see you tonight. We will discuss then. In the meantime, we thank you all for being here. We hope you and yours have an amazing, safe week. If you're traveling, if you're celebrating this holiday, again, we hope you enjoy the time with your loved ones. And of course, we hope to see you right back here next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.